Hello, welcome to Talk to Me. I am your host, Brenda Warren, the Solutionist, and I have with me today a very special guest, Marty L Ward, a author, speaker, and trainer. She is a noted author of Get Clear, Get Confident, Get Going, dynamic certified international trainer and speaker, and the founder of a nonprofit Confidence Build Success Academy. She has created a proven, internationally validated training that has reached 100,000 teachers, parents, pastors, entrepreneurs, and children around the world, teaching them to believe in themselves versus the mean world of bullies. She has 5 offices in Uganda and a main office in Florida. She has been in the Huffington Post, on CNBC, ABC, Fox, Channel 13 News, Uganda National TV, and heard by thousands on radio shows in the USA and Uganda. Her new innovative approach to parenting book, No Please, No Thank You, Take Back Your Parents' Power and Your Life, is coming out this spring. Today, we're going to be talking about her book that I absolutely love, and I want to see if I can get you guys to see this. Get Clear, Get Confident, Get Going, and a few other things. Marty, welcome to Talk to Me. How you doing today?
Brenda, I am glad to be here with you. You are such a wonderful host and so kind to give us, all of us, a chance to be spotlighted, and I so appreciate you.
You know, Marty, we got to speak first at the editor's desk. And I was so excited because, first of all, once I finally got the ding, 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 ding in my head, why I remembered, and I could not for the life remember, the TAG program, I realized it was because I had read your book years before. And so today I wanted to give you the opportunity to expand on the talk that we started at the editor's desk.
Oh, thank you.
Marty, you know, this book has such a special place in my heart because I read this book when I was having a mental breakdown. And I needed to stop procrastinating. I needed to get clear. I needed to get confident. I needed to get going. And your book helped me do that. Can you tell us what started you on the path to writing Get Clear, Get Confident, Get Going?
Well, I was having a breakdown.
Okay.
Well, what happened to me is that I had gone from being worth over $1 million to having $7.41 in my bank account.
Wow.
And I had that wonderful journey, as the universe will give us, the path that we need to be on and the struggles we need to go through. And I had gotten to, pretty close to the bottom. And one day I finally stopped. And I said, Marty, you are out of integrity with yourself. You're not being who you were meant to be. You're not doing what life has really given you to do. You're not expressing who you are completely. So that day, Brenda, what I did is it's hard to believe that I was working 18 hours a day, going absolutely nowhere. And I closed my other businesses, and I kept my coaching business, closed all the other businesses. But the crucial thing I did that day is I went downstairs and I started to write the first book, this book that I published. And I wrote for 12 straight hours. I mean, I couldn't stop. I kept writing and writing and writing, and I looked up and I went, oh, it's dark. And then I looked at the computer clock and I said, oh my God, it's midnight. It was like I had unlocked my talents, abilities, and gifts. And they've become what I call tags. I had unlocked who I actually was. You see, because what had happened is the rug kept being pulled out, had gotten pulled out from under me one too many times. And I had forgotten who I was. I had pushed down and pushed down who I was to the point that I was so depressed that I couldn't really function. I kept doing busy work, going nowhere. So that day, once I realized what I had done, I designed a program using tags, talents, abilities, and gifts to help myself unlock me and others. So I've helped hundreds or thousands of entrepreneurs to be able to, and people, to be able to unlock their tags so that they can actually believe in themselves. The reason, Brenda, is that, the whole time that I was going through this, travel down the trail, people would say to me, and I'm sure you've heard it too, "Oh, Marty, just love yourself. Oh,
Yes.
Marty, believe in yourself." Right? And I'd think or say, "No shit, Sherlock, really? I hadn't thought of that." Right. The thing is, Brenda, people say these platitudes, but they don't even have any idea of how to teach you how to love yourself. Based on what am I supposed to believe in myself? Based on what am I supposed to love myself? Other than being nice and saying, "Of course, Marty, you're so bright, you're so capable. Oh, Marty, you can," all of that happy talk. But what I did with the tag system is it's concrete evidence of who you are. And once you can see it, then you can own it. And now you can't lie to yourself anymore and tell yourself you're not good enough, because there in front of you is a list of all your talents, all your abilities, all your gifts. And you go, wait, if I look at who I am and I honor and value who I am, well, now I can believe it. Now I have a reason to love myself. Now I have a reason to believe in myself because of actually who I am.
Now, Marty, did that, I did a little bit of research, and I got the tag concept, and it really helped me when I read the book the first time. And as we talked, when I invited you to the show, I want to reread the book again because of where I am currently in this stage of life. But now that you had your tag system, is it not true that you really began to believe that because your book was found on a pile in a fire by a pastor? Could you tell us about that?
Well, what happened there was that in 2015, Booney Alex from Uganda emailed me. And at first I was like, wait a minute, I've heard about people like you taking people's money and that kind of thing. So I was very hesitant, but I asked him enough questions. And what I said, why did you get in touch with me? And he said, because I found your book on a pile of books to be burned when I was on a missionary trip in Tanzania. And they were cleaning out the church and were, of all things, burning books because they needed room. And he was drawn to pick it up, and he didn't. And then he was drawn again to pick it up. He said, "Oh, I better do that. I better pick it up." And it changed his life because he had been bullied, and I have been bullied most of my life. And so because he could start to believe in himself, and he understood his emotional intelligence better, and he was able to communicate with his father, who had bullied him, in a way that made him feel empowered and strong, and that he turned his life around, and he wanted to know more. And because he wanted to know more, I started to train him on the internet. And I finally went to Uganda in 2018. And that's when I started to build our organization over there. And since then, I've gone 3 times. And we, as I said, have reached over 100,000 pastors, teachers, children, and parents, to be able to have them understand how talented, able, and gifted they are. How being me matters. We have a Being Me Matters ceremony, teaching people that they actually matter and why they matter. And by seeing children for actually who they are, not who we want them to be, but seeing their talents, abilities, and gifts, So me doing this is like me just wanting to express myself, which is what children do all the time. And then we can judge them and we can squish them, but I'm just doing this because I wanted to express what I was trying to say about my talents, abilities, and gifts. And that's what children do. And we want to see them for being artistic, imaginative, creative, bright, and look at that in children and in ourselves. And that's when we can believe in ourselves, despite what Bully says.
Did your writing of this book help you decide to build the Confident Builds Success Academy?
Yes. I had, I guess it was in 2016, I founded, well, at the beginning it was called Creating Confident Kids to Eliminate Bullying.
Mm-hmm.
And I called it that, Brenda, because what I noticed is that whatever you focus on grows. And we had been focusing on bullying at that point. And so what happened is that bullying became more and more and more, bigger and bigger and bigger topic, because we were
Yes.
focusing on stop bully, get rid of the bully, stop bullying. And the more you focus on what you don't want, the more you get. So I wanted to focus on creating confident kids to eliminate the impact of bullying. You see,
Eh,
because we can't stop the bully from saying or doing whatever the bully wants to say or do. The only thing we can do is to respond differently. And what I realized is that when you don't believe the bully, you're not hurt. So by creating children who believe in themselves based on their talents, abilities, and gifts,
mm-hmm.
now when the bully calls them a name, they can stand up for themselves by saying, well, that's your opinion. Or, oh, you're right. Let's say they said that they saw a child with a paper and it's got a big D on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they say, look at you were stupid, they did it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
instead of the child taking that to heart, what they could say is, you're right. I do struggle in math. Can you help me? Because
Mm.
now they know they're okay, but they had a bad day and they were struggling in math.
And
And so,
is this something you work with kids directly with, or do you work with their parents and school administrators to help this program come to pass?
well, I can help with children and parents and teachers. So I have programs where I do trainings for the teachers, because by training a teacher, I now can influence 20, now 20 kids are getting the benefit.
Mm-hmm.
And I also work with parents, and I
Mm-hmm.
have Facebook Live events twice a week for parents
Okay.
on Mondays and Fridays, and where I give I talk about different topics on Tag Talk with Marty. It's called,
Okay.
and then the other is called Parent Quick Tips.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just give parents new ways of looking at things so that they can feel more at peace, more at ease, more secure with who they are, and be able to get cooperation from their kids more easily.
So someone that didn't know anything about this, the first time they heard, as most parents would be devastated to find their child is being bullied, what
Yeah,
would be the first step that you tell a parent that just discovered their child was being bullied to do?
love them.
Mhm.
What you would do is it's really about talking to them about um, what happened. Of course, you'd want to know what happened. What did the child say or do?
Mhm.
And then focus on helping that child to know the value of who they are. And so, let's say, I don't know, that let's say someone called somebody fat. It's the thing that keeps coming up in my head.
Mhm.
You're fat, right? Now, the thing about this is what I teach, and it sounds shocking to people, but if you own what's true,
Mhm.
then you don't take it on as impacting you. So let's say someone is rounder, all right? They are round, right?
Mhm.
And some child says, you're fat. The child who believes in themselves can say, you know what? You're right. And isn't it nice? Right?
Mhm.
Or, yes, I am. What is it to you? And what happens is that by owning what's true, now it takes the power away by saying, yeah, you're right. And what's it to you? Or, you know what? Yes, and I give great hugs, or, yeah, I got great curves. You're right. So you learn to take the truth and own it, because the bully can figure out that thing that we're the most concerned about and
Mhm.
try to use it against us. But when we can see it, or if it's not true, if you could say, this is the way I like to be, Yeah, and this is the way I like to be. So
I would say, and what would you say to those people that would say, well, Marty, that's hard for even adults to do that? Because I was in a situation at work where I had someone that repeatedly bullied me, and I wasn't always able to just go, yeah, that's true, or deal with that. How would you address that?
are you willing to share what was happening or not?
Oh yeah, there was a person at my job that repeatedly would get in meetings, and because she felt I didn't have the degrees that she had, she
Mm-hmm.
would always bring that up, and or she would just do different things that tried to make me feel less than. And
Mm-hmm.
for a while, I did internalize it,
Sure.
and until I got to the point was like you said, I realized, well, at first I don't have that degree. I was in a position where I was holding a job that required a master's degree, and I have an associate's degree. And all of the people around me had master's degrees and PhDs. And
Mm-hmm.
then one day it dawned on me, hey, wait a minute, but I have this job and I don't have that degree. And then I also started discovering that a lot of my colleagues that had these degrees couldn't write a sentence to save their life. And
Mm-hmm.
it dawned on me that they were always having me write their policies or do something that they should have been capable of. So I had strengths even without having that degree that allowed me to hold that position. And I was an award winner in that position, even without the degrees that that position said it required. So I
Woohoo!
had the life experience and I had the capabilities. And I left that when I did retire and leave that job, I left with my head held, having been an award winning director in that position in spite of that bully.
Good for you. Now I'm going to bring up something, then I'll come back to this.
Okay.
Is that the gift of the bully is teaching us to look inside and believe in ourselves. You see, that bully, eventually you went, wait a minute, look at who I am. Wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So what I say is the antagonist, someone that seems that they're against you, becomes your protagonist and for you because you develop your tags. Aha, right?
Mm-hmm.
Antagonist,
Mm-hmm.
protagonist. So they get you to develop your talents, abilities, and gifts. And so, for instance, what happened for me, Brenda, is my older son said to me, Mom, I know it really hurts you that no one in the family believes in you. No.
Mm-hmm.
And what I did with that is after I grieved and I cried and I really felt what that felt like, that's when I went, oh, I get it. If you don't believe the bully, you're not hurt. And that day, what I did is I looked inside and I believed in me and I looked at my talents, abilities, and gifts more carefully and I owned them. And just like with you, Brenda, the bully stopped bullying me. Once I owned who I was, then the bully stopped bullying me because that energy was gone. They didn't feel it anymore. And with you, what you could say is it's interesting that you bring up the degrees that I do or don't have, but um, I'm interested in how come you asked me to write your work for you,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. Yes, you're right. I don't have that, and what's amazing is that look at that I did. Whatever it was. Is there some other reason you bring it up? Or in other words, when you're comfortable with it, that's when you can answer. And so it's us taking the gift of being bullied and transforming it into a deeper belief in who we are. So with the child, it's them, that's being bullied. It's having the parents start to look for all the talents, abilities, and gifts in their child. Of saying, look at how creative you were with the way in which you did your science project. You were so imaginative and creative in the way you put those pieces together. I've never seen anything like that before. Um, or children that actually speak up. Let's say your child is talking back to you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that seems like you can look for the talents, abilities, and gifts in that, and you could say to them, "Wow, I really respect the fact that you had the courage to tell me exactly what you needed. And I really like the fact that you know what you like and you know what you don't like. And right now, what you're asking me, I can't give you, right? So you tag and guide. So you tag them instead of saying, don't you speak to me that way and don't talk,
Mhm.
right? Now you're in a big battle. You tag them and then you say, and what you're asking me, I can't give you right now. So you hang on to yourself.
So do you have parenting classes that teach parents how to do that? Because I can tell you that's not how I navigated in my world when my child was young. And I can also tell you that culturally, I can imagine that there are a few people that look like me going, that woman is crazy because I'm not negotiating with no kid.
Mm,
What would you say?
right? Well, and that's up to you. You take what you want and leave the rest, but it
Hmm.
works. So yes, I have. In fact, I have on January 24th. I have a workshop coming up
Hmm.
about taking back your parental power
Hmm.
and your life, because we're so overwhelmed now with online learning and trying to manage everything and jobs and losing a job and all these women, moms who have had to quit their job in order to be home and all of that stress. So and that can be found at confidencebuildsuccessacademy.com/workshops
Hmm.
and with an S. And so I do workshops. There are other workshop videos there that you can look at. And I understand that feeling of I'm not going to negotiate with a kid. The thing is that when we have um, breakdown happens when you focus on behavior, and breakthrough happens when you focus on relationships. So the more you focus on caring about the relationship that you have with your child, the more connected you are with yourself first, and then with your child, the easier it is. It's not about you losing any authority at all. The way I teach is not about you not being the authority or you not being in charge. It's more about living, loving, leading, open hearted, and in charge. And now you're connecting with your kid. Now they can trust you.
Hmm.
Because if you see them for who they are, now they can trust you to be on their side. And that's why they want to cooperate more. By me describing when that child speaks up to me and I say, I respect the fact that you're willing to tell me who you are and what you want, etc., they're going, wow, that's exactly right. I was doing that. And then when I tell you, and I can't give you what you're asking me right now they're more willing to go, okay, right? Because you respected them. And it's really about us respecting ourselves and then respecting our child and speaking to them in a respectful manner. And then they will speak to us in a respectful manner. Most of the time, I know there's always times because nothing works all the time.
Hmm.
Does that
I
make
think, Marty, I say that because I think I would have really appreciated that kind of information when I was a young mother, but it wasn't being taught.
no?
And oftentimes people will raise their kids based on how they were raised.
Of course.
Now, my mother did the best that she knew how to do, but some of the things you say, although I didn't necessarily have a name for it, I know my mother did that. Like we did the round table, we were allowed to express our thoughts, and people often complained because they felt my mother gave us too much freedom. But we would sit at the table and we were allowed to say that we did not like something or through, and I was that child that I'm sure was a challenge because I was the child that questioned everything.
Good for you.
Um, and I wanted to know why I had to clean bathrooms with a toothbrush or why I had to do whatever it is that my mother wanted to do. She knew if there was going to be the battle, it was going to be with Brenda.
Good
Where
for you.
my brothers would just toe the line, I had a question for everything. Then when I had my own child, I did allow Alex to ask questions, and I learned very early that Alex was different. And I'll give you this example before we go on. It was a Christmas time and there was candy on the table, and I asked Alex not to eat the candy, And Alex said, okay. But when I left back, Alex was eating the candy. So I took the candy and I said, Alex, do not eat that candy. I'm going to beat your butt, which I never would do that. But I still made the threat. I came back. Alex was sitting on the floor with the candy, eating it and smiling. And I said, Alex was 4 years old. Alex, didn't I tell you not to eat that candy? Yes, ma'am. And still popping it in the mouth with me watching. Then why are you eating that candy? Didn't I tell you what I was going to do? Yes, ma'am. And pop some more. I said, then why are you doing it? And Alex said to me, I made a decision that I'd rather take the butt whooping and eat the candy. I'll take the consequences. Mom, you said life is choice driven. I made a choice.
I love him. He is wonderful.
So, needless to say, Alex did not get a spanking. I did take the candy because I did not want him to get sick. I immediately went in the bedroom, called my husband, and go, Houston, we have a problem. We have a thinker. And it has been a roller coaster ever since. So, Alex was not a child that, in Alex's life, I can tell you, I know of 2 times Alex got a spanking. That was when he ran into the street after I told him not to. Almost got hit by a car, and when he put his head in the oven. Other than that, he's never been corporal punishment because Alex was a child that you could have a conversation with and explain why something shouldn't be done. And then we always had to wait to see what choice
Good for Alex. I like it.
Alex would make. And normally the choice was a good one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but look at what you taught him. Even at 4, he already knew that he could make choices in his life. That was a huge thing that you did for him.
Well, that was because, Marty, when I was little, I didn't have a lot of choices. And before Alex could speak, I would literally say to him, life is choice driven. The choices you make today will be the reality you live tomorrow. Choose wisely. And so I wanted Alex to know that every decision he makes is his and he has a choice.
Well, and you see, because of that, then that you built a trusting relationship. Because you built a trusting relationship, now he's been able to make good choices.
Yes.
And because you also taught him the skill of making choices. But when parents are too authoritarian and they're telling their kids what to do, how to do it, what to wear, what class they're going to take, what college they're going to, et cetera, those children don't do as well over time. They might look like they're behaving, but they don't do as well over time because they don't have resilience. They don't have problem-solving skills. They don't have those. So it's being a parent that gives children choices and develops their autonomy so that they feel confident and secure about who they are. Because the thing is, Brenda, I think one of the major things we have learned with the pandemic and the rest of the things that are happening in our world right now is that only we can keep ourselves safe. The government's not going to keep us safe. Nobody's going to keep us safe. The only person that can keep us safe, not even parents. Yes, of course, we need to provide guardrails for them. But ultimately, they still get to choose. And once you can teach them to believe in themselves, to trust their gut, to trust their decision-making skills, then we can be safe. Like Alex made a conscious decision. Well, I'm going to eat the candy and get the butt. No, why not? At least I'll have the good time of doing it, right?
Absolutely.
So that was, then he felt safe in doing that, and he knew that you'd be whatever. So he trusted that. So, but anyway, so that's what's brilliant about all of that is really learning to trust ourselves as parents, not to second guess yourself all the time, to believe in yourself, to look at the gift you are as a parent. And we all do the best we can. We've all messed up. My children would tell you millions of stories about me, right? And what worked and didn't work and all of that. And so it's really us learning to believe in ourselves and have compassion, as I say. Have compassion for us. Let ourselves off the hook as parents. We always worry that we're not doing it right, saying it right, and what's going to happen and all of that. You just need to be a good enough parent. You just need to be good enough. You do not need to be brilliant. You do not. You just need to be good enough. Give them some guardrails so that they can guide themselves, and then allow them to discover who they are and then see them for who they are.
And Marty, is that something I want to move to your next book that's coming out in the spring? Is that what you do in the no please, no thank you, take back your parental power and your life? Is that what's coming out in the spring, teaching parents how to give their kids guardrails?
Yeah, it's really, it's, and you're saying the title because that's what I told you. I'd love to have parents respond to that. When I say no, please, no, thank you, what I mean by that is I'm going to teach you a different way of looking at things. And when I say no, please, no, thank you, people could say, what, are you kidding me? You think my kids are going to be rude? No, 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 it's not about that. As parents, it's learning, please hand me the book, and then you get it, you say thank you. All of that please and thank you is perfect. It's when we say, please go to bed, please go to bed, right?
That's an option.
Now the child, you've given over your power to your child to please you, right? And the child goes, I'm not going to please them. I ain't going to bed, right? Or it's time to go to bed. Thank you. There's no thank you. There's no please. It's time to go to bed. There's no thank you to it. Right? Again, it's about pleasing your parent. So if you want to take your power back, then what you do is you learn the appropriate use of please and thank you, and then not use it when it's not. Or we say, okay, everybody, it's time to get in the car. Okay? Okay? What do you mean okay? No, not okay. And parents, if you listen in a restaurant, you'll hear okay, okay. And if the child was courageous, they'd go, no, it's not okay.
Right.
Right.
And I see that a lot when I go to restaurants or just hear the conversations with kids. Yeah.
Right. And so it's not okay. You don't need to ask their permission. You're the parent. So it's time to get in the car. That's it. Okay, look at how you did that. Look at how quickly. Wow, look at you. You got in the car right away. Now you don't thank them for it. You just describe their behavior. Wow, you did that so quickly. That made it easier for us to leave on time.
So it's about expectations and being clear on what you want as opposed to begging your kids to conform to a certain behavior.
Exactly. And you losing, you knowing that your decision is best for yourself, your child, and what needs to happen next, and then respecting yourself with that. And a child, of course, is going to say, I don't want to go to bed and I want 10 more minutes and all of those things. And then you can decide if it's a time for negotiation, and that's it. Then you can decide what you want to do around that and say, how many more, you can also ask your child, how many more minutes do you need? And they're going to be so surprised that you ask them.
Yeah, really.
They'll say 5 more minutes and you go, okay, 5 more minutes, 8:05, bed. All right. And now when it's time, now it's 8:05 and you say, okay, it's 8:05. What time is it? Bedtime. Okay, pop on up.
And as you say that, Marty, I'm thinking back to sometimes I use that with my own child. I would say, well, how much longer? And I noticed that when I gave them the ability to make small decisions like that on their own, they were more likely to do the things I wanted them to do.
There you go.
With a lot less stress.
Exactly. Because we're not, you don't like it if I impose something on you.
No, I don't.
No. And, and they might be small, but they don't like it either. And those are good qualities. You see, what happens is that the child who speaks back to us, that you tell them all of those things. But then when that child is a 14-year-old girl and she is now out, and now a boy wants to do something that's not appropriate, age appropriate, if they have not learned to stand up for themselves and to know it's okay to speak up and say no, it's going to happen. Okay, I'll do it. Right? Instead of, no, that's not what I'm interested in doing right now. Right? Because they've been allowed to know that that's good.
Marty, for the young parent that may be watching this right now, she may have 3 kids, 2 kids, even 1, and she's saying, but Marty, you don't understand. These kids don't listen to me.
Right.
How does she start getting that no, please, and thank you in the proper context when dealing with her kids?
Well, the first thing we all need to do, Brenda, is breathe. We need to breathe. We need to go. And what that does is it takes you from this brain on the back of your head called the limbic brain that's in that hump right back here.
Mm-hmm.
And the back of your head, and you can teach kids this and they love it, right? It takes us from our fight or flight brain into our thinking brain. Literally from here, where we're panicked, want to tell them what to do, and it's a mess, the house is a mess, you're overwhelmed, right? And you're in that limbic brain of, oh my God, I don't know what to do about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can feel it. Your frontal lobe lights up. And when it lights up, now you're in your thinking brain. Now you can say, I see you got very creative today. Look at this. You've got things from one side of the room to the other. Wow, look at how you built that toys over there, and look at the artwork over here. And now it's time that I'm going to help you get started in cleaning it up. Right? Because when you've done all that preamble, now they can hear you because you told them they're wonderful. You told them that they were creative, right? You acknowledged who they were. And now you say, and now it's time to put it all. We're using that creative mind of yours. Where are you going to put your truck? Over there, that's a great place for a truck.
So you tagged them again.
Just keep tagging the whole time, right? And so by doing that, the first thing is you take a breath so that you can get here and think. Because otherwise we react, and that's when we say and do things that aren't good for us or them. And then we regret it. And in the scope of life, if you focus on the relationship being more important than the behavior, you're always going to come out a winner. Because your connection to that child matters more than it's stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? Do they trust you? Do they feel comfortable? Do they feel safe? And so it's them feeling comfortable and safe that's going to get them to say, to help you. In fact, when I've taught teachers this, the teacher said that what happened eventually is that kids in the classroom would start helping to control the other children. They'd say, no, stop. Miss Heather wants us to do this. Right? She said, then they would tag her. They would say, Miss Heather, I really like the way you taught that lesson. That was really helpful. And they started to tag her. So she reduced her stress and conflict at home and work by 50%.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Even at home. She said, Marty, my teenager started to talk to me. My teenager asked me questions. I was shocked, right? And she was a very authoritarian parent, very, and culturally, I think she was Jamaican, but so culturally, and that's the way they raise their children. And so, but with this, she learned that how much of a difference it actually made, so that her kids wanted to cooperate and help her around the house.
Well, Marty, it's been an awesome talking to you today because, like I said, I just get golden nuggets. And even though my child is now 20 years old, I have begun to tag. And I have seen that our communication has grown in a short time that I reconnected myself with your book, which I just absolutely love. And I hope anyone that is looking to get clear, get confident, and get going, that you will go to Amazon and get Marty's book because it will change your life. Marty, how can people get in touch with you, join your Facebook group, and do all that? Could you let us know?
Yes. If you go to @Confidence Builds Success Academy, that will take you to my Facebook page where I do the talks for parents. On YouTube, my YouTube channel is Marty for Success, FOR, Marty for Success. And that will give you all the different talks that I've already done. And then, of course, my website, confidencebuildssuccessacademy.com. And you can reach out to me, contact me, or go to the workshop page, or just see what else is going on.
Well, Marty, I'd like to thank you for joining me on Talk to Me because it was an awesome talk, and I thank you.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate you, Brenda.
Thank you. And for our audience that's listening, don't forget to thank a veteran. You see it up here. There you go. Thank a veteran. You go to https://nevcc.org/projects. That's where you can leave a message in one of the 12 chapters that will be created into a book at the end of the year. This month is January. It is a fresh start. Tell a veteran how they can have a fresh start or how you had a fresh start. And if you can't think of a fresh start, pick one of the other 11 chapters, which there are different themes for each month, and leave a thank you for a veteran so that on January 1st, 2022, they'll get the message that they are appreciated. Well, thank you for joining me with another episode of Talk to Me. Don't forget to reach out and check out Marty L Ward, author, speaker, trainer, at her website. Please tell your website one more time, Marty, before we go. I want people to be connected so they can get clear, get confident, and get going.
So it's confidencebuildsuccessacademy.com.
There you have it. Talk to me. See you next week.